Armenia's iGaming market. It's a fascinating story. On one hand, you've got a digital gold rush with billions of dollars being wagered. But on the other, it's a regulatory fortress with a $1.5 million price tag just to get in the door. So today, we're going to dive into the data and figure out if this high-stakes gamble is actually worth the risk. And just so you know where all this is coming from, this analysis is from our gambling databases research team. What we do is simple. We deliver deep dive analyses of the global iGaming world. In every report, we dig into the local rules, the taxes, what it's like for players, and the conditions for operators, all to give you a clear, data-driven picture of what makes each market tick. Okay, let this number sink in for a second. $17.7 billion. That's the total amount of money wagered in Armenia just last year. Now, for a country with a population of just under 3 million people, that figure is absolutely staggering. And it's exactly why this market is on everyone's radar. But you know, when you see that kind of explosive growth, it's almost always followed by a government crackdown. And that's precisely what happened here. So the big question is the gold rush over? Let's find out. I mean, to really get why the government stepped in so hard, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of this boom. Between 2018 and 2024, the total amount wagered grew 17 times over. Yeah, this wasn't just growth, it was a full-blown explosion that regulators simply couldn't ignore anymore. And that explosion, well, it led directly to this, a brand new rulebook. In 2025, Armenia didn't just tweak the rules. They launched a complete regulatory overhaul that fundamentally changed the game for every single operator in the country. Okay, look at this timeline. What's absolutely wild here is just how fast all of this happened. In January, boom, new law and the gambling age goes up. By April, boom, taxes are doubled. And then in July, they roll out this massive, sweeping new tax system. This rapid-fire approach really shows you just how serious they were about getting this market under control. And when you look at all these new rules, you can really see the government's strategy taking shape. It's basically a two-pronged attack. On one side, they're trying to protect consumers, raising the gambling age, putting in self-exclusion lists, and cracking down on ads. On the other side, they're protecting the domestic market by blocking foreign operators and requiring all servers to be physically in Armenia. Okay, so you want to play in this new, super regulated market? What's it going to cost you? Well, hold on tight because this is where the numbers get really, really serious. Let's start with the price of entry, $1.5 million. And that's not a one-time fee, my friends. That is your annual license fee. Right out of the gate, that's an absolutely enormous barrier to entry. But honestly, that license fee is just the warm-up act. The real game changer is right here in this table. They've shifted to a 10% turnover tax. Let me be perfectly clear. That is not a tax on your profit. It's a tax on every single dollar that gets wagered. This is a huge departure from the gross gaming revenue model you see elsewhere, and it completely upends the financial model for any operator trying to make it here. So, with costs like these, who exactly are you trying to reach? Who is the Armenian player? Let's break down the user base. The first thing that just jumps right out at you is this. Casino games are everything here. They're bringing in more than 10 times the revenue of sports betting. For any operator thinking about this market, that is a mission-critical insight. Armenia is, first and foremost, a casino market. So where are people playing? Well, if you just glance at this chart, you'd think, okay, it's all about desktop. And yeah, 2/3 of the traffic is there. But, and this is a big but, that is not the whole story. Because this is the number that really matters for the future. Mobile is surging. We're talking almost 20% growth year over year. So yeah, desktop might be king today, but make no mistake about it. The future of this market is mobile. Any operator with a long-term plan has to be thinking mobile first. All right, so how much are these players actually spending? The average revenue per user, or ARPU, is sitting at just over $382 a year. Now, to put that into perspective, that puts Armenia squarely in the mid-tier globally, right alongside markets like Poland or the Czech Republic. So we are not talking about a low-value market here. This is a seriously engaged player base. Okay, let's pull all this together. On one hand, you've got this valuable, engaged, mid-tier player base. But on the other, just getting to them costs a fortune. And that brings us to the core dilemma for any operator looking at Armenia. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? The potential versus the barriers. Look at the potential. a player base that loves to play, a history of just insane growth, and solid digital infrastructure. But then you look at the other side, that brutal license fee, the game-changing turnover tax, and you can barely even advertise. It's a tough equation. So it all comes back to that big question we started with. With costs this high and rules this strict, is the Armenian iGaming market a risk worth taking? The answer isn't simple, but one thing is for sure. In this market, the stakes have never, ever been higher. Look, there's no single right answer here. It all comes down to your strategy and how much risk you're willing to take on. But you shouldn't be making that decision in the dark. For the full data-driven report that goes way deeper on all of this, you have to visit us at gamblingdatabases.com. And hey, we've even dropped a direct link to the complete Armenia study right there in the pinned comment. Don't gamble on your next move. Get the data you need to make the right call.